All right, we're going to go ahead and solve some quadratic equations today on IXL. Just remember on IXL, you're going to need to make sure that you have a calculator handy to do any of your calculations. If you do not have a handheld calculator at home, feel free and use the Desmos calculator, but I want you to use the scientific one. So if you don't know what the formula is, remember it's x is equal to the opposite of b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. And if you're not sure what it is right here. So take just a moment and pause, make sure you have that formula written down in your notes. Remember, all of the equations have to be in general form. So if you notice today, any of the equations are not in general form. Please make sure the ax squared plus bx plus c are all on one side of the equation, and the equation is equal to 0. Okay, so let's go ahead and start to solve this one right here. It's a little bit difficult for me to draw on the computer, but I'm going to do my best here. I always like to identify what the A, B, and C is, okay? So it's important for us to make sure you have those down. A is 3, B is -2, and C is -6. I always like to write my formula as well, so I'm going to write the opposite of B. Remember, it's x equals, but I'm going to go ahead and just put this here. Plus minus, remember, because we have to solve this twice to see if I do have two roots. B squared minus 4 times A times C, all divided by 2A. All right, so let's go ahead and substitute everything in. This time you're going to notice that the roots today are going to be kind of those messier decimals. So the problem does ask you to round to the nearest hundredths place at the end. So if you are doing calculations, we'll walk through how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to do the opposite of B. So the opposite of -2, I'm just going to write 2. I'm going to write plus minus. When I do that square root symbol or the radical symbol, see this B squared right here? I'm just going to go ahead and square that -2. Anytime that you square a number, remember it's always going to be positive, regardless of if it's negative or positive to start. So I'm going to go ahead and put in 4, because that's what -2 squared is. I'm going to write -4 times A times C. So I'm going to write a 3, and then I'm going to go ahead and write in that -6. Let me make sure my radical or my square root symbol is all the way across. And then I'm going to divide it by 2a. Just remember the a is 3. So if I do 2 times 3, I'm just going to go ahead and write 6. All right. Now when we go ahead and simplify the rest, I want you to be real clear of a couple of things. This is what I like to do first. I like to take care of this part, the -4 times a times c. Even though this says -4, it means -4, it means -4. So when I multiply those together, 2 negatives make a positive. So if I multiply 4 times 3 times 6, I get 72. So really what's underneath this radical symbol, we call that the discriminant. When I go ahead and take care of this, -4 times 3 times 6, that's going to be 72. And then I'm going to add that 4 to it. Now I am writing it on top of the radical. I'm not dividing anything. Okay, it looks kind of like a division. I'm just writing down what I just did. So again, -4 times 3 times -6 is 72. And then we're going to add it to that b squared, which was 4. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and set up kind of that final thing that I'm going to look for. When I did 72 plus 4, just remember I'm going to set it up like this. 2 plus minus, I'm going to write the square root symbol. I'm going to put the combined total of the 4 and the 72, which is 76. I want to let you know that this is not a perfect square, so you are going to get a decimal, and all divide by 6. Now, I want to tell you a couple things. When you're using a calculator like this, there's a few things that I want you to do. So you're going to obviously have to do this twice. So you're going to set it up, and let me write it in a different color here. You're going to do it first. 2 plus the square root of 76, divide by 6. And then the other time you check the root, you're going to do 2 minus the square root of 76 divided by 6. Now it's interesting, because 76 is not a perfect square. It's not like the square root of 25 that I know the answer is 5. We don't know the exact answer for the square root of 76. If you're using a calculator, I want you to keep it in the calculator contained. So I'm going to show you something. I'm going to put 2 plus the square root of 76. I'm going to kind of show it up close here. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. You're going to notice that I get kind of a unique situation. What this calculator does is that it simplifies the radical. That's what that's called, simplifying the radical. It's something that you're going to do. We did not have time to do it this year due to our online learning, but it's something that you're going to be doing in Algebra 2. Don't worry about it. You haven't done anything wrong, so just leave it in there if you have a calculator like this. Don't forget to divide it by your 2a, which is that 6 down below. So I'm going to hit divide by 6 and hit enter. You're going to notice now that I have this answer, again, more simplified. I want the decimal version. So remember, there is a button down here on the calculator. It's above the enter. I want you to click that button. If you have a Samsung calculator, you're going to push the SD button and you get this decimal, 1.786, blah, blah, blah. So what you want to do is round to the nearest hundredths place. So the 8 right now is in the hundredths place. So the number to the right of that is a 6. So it's going to round up, 1.79. It's going to be important for us as we go to type that in that we type it in correctly. Otherwise, you might notice that you have the wrong answer. So there's one root. I don't want to hit submit because we have to do the other one. So remember, again, when I do that one, I'm going to do 2 minus the square root of 76. And if you're not sure where that is, it's right here. 2 minus the square root of 76. Don't forget, you do have to hit enter. Then I want you to hit divide by 6 because we always want to make sure we divide. Hit enter. You're going to notice that radical is very simplified. I know that's a tool that you don't know how to do yet, but I want you to push the button that switches it to a decimal. And you're going to notice again, I'm going to round to the nearest hundredths place. The last one to the very far right-hand side is the hundredths place. So you're going to go to the number right behind it, which is the 9, and that's going to round it up to -1 and 12 hundredths. So I'm going to type that in, -1 and 12 hundredths. I know sometimes IXL can be a little bit tricky because it asks specifically for you to round, but this is really good practice too to be precise. I'm going to ask for you, for every single problem that you do, whether or not you get it correct or not, I want to make sure that you show all of these steps. You're going to notice I did the A, B, and C. You're going to notice that I wrote down the formula, so I have access to that every time. Make a note that your B squared is always positive. Make sure you solve kind of the order in which I did. Find the discriminant first. Then go ahead and set it up where you break apart the positive and the negative to find those two roots. And then when you're done, hit submit. If IXL feels frustrating to you as you start to solve, what I want you to do is stop, send me a private message, and I will send you maybe 4 or 5 you can try on paper, and then send me a picture, and then I'll be able to check it that way if IXL is bothering you. Okay, good luck and have fun. I love the quadratic formula, and let me know if you get stuck. All right, thanks.